Hi everyone, this is David. Thank you for joining me on this next video about airspace. Today, we're going to be talking about special use airspace. The first special use airspace that we will be talking about is about prohibited airspaces. As the name says, prohibited airspaces anywhere where you cannot go. Why? Usually, it's about national security, like for example, the White House. You can never fly over the White House, and that's why that is a prohibited area. Here in Florida, we only have one prohibited area, and it's just north of Jacksonville. Our next special use airspace is restricted airspace. This airspace you usually don't go in, but they will allow you to. So what goes on in restricted airspace? Usually in restricted airspace, the military is testing guns, testing missiles, and they don't want any civilian there that can get harmed by that. That's why you're going to be able to find in your electronic flight bag what are the hours of operation and the altitudes of operation of the restricted airspace. If this restricted airspace is active, you need to request permission to get through from the controlling facility. You can also find that in your sectional chart. And if it's not active, you can just go through it. Now, I will still exercise special caution and always review your NOTAMs, because sometimes in the NOTAMs, you will know if they're operating outside of their normal business hours. Moving on, we have military operations area. Military operations area, or MOAs, are depicted as magenta areas in the airspace in your BFR sectional charts. You can always go into MOAs, but that is at your own risk. Why? Because usually MOAs is where there's military training going on, and they want to difference the airspace where that's going on from civilian airspace. So you can go in at any time, just be careful. And the same as restricted airspace, you can find in the VFR sectional chart or your EFB what are the hour and altitudes of operation. Moving on from that, now we have warning areas. You can imagine warning areas have some sort of MOAs, but offshore. This happens in the ocean, and this is where there's a lot of military training and also guns and missiles and heavy artillery being fired. Just be careful. You can go in at any time, but be cautious. And the same, review what are the hours and altitudes of operation. After this, we have alert areas. Alert areas are areas where there's a lot of flight training. Let's put an example, the Miami area or the Daytona Beach area. There's a lot of flight schools that go to the same area to do flight training. So basically, this is alerting all pilots that you may encounter airplanes that are doing abnormal or abrupt maneuvers just because they're not cruising to point A to point B. They're practicing slow flight, they're practicing stalls, they're practicing steep turns, they're practicing emergency procedures. So that way you're alert and you're cautious of what could be going on around you. All these alert areas usually have specific frequencies where people are talking and saying what they're doing at any given time. And finally, our last special use airspace are controlled firing areas. Now, 99% of the times, you will not know that you will be flying through a controlled firing area. And why is that? Because these controlled firing areas, or CFAs, are not depicted in any chart. So, how do we stay safe as pilots when we're flying through each of them? When the military are doing training exercises, they'll have both radar and a spotter that will be looking and paying attention if there's any airplane in the area. If there's any airplane in the area, they're going to immediately stop all operations, stop all shooting, all firing until the area is completely clear. And with that being said, everyone should be safe. Thank you for joining me in this video. Have a good rest of your day.